Welcome back everyone, dear students. Today we will talk about Mendelian phase of genetics or Mendelism. Basically there are three phases of genetics. One is known as pre-Mendelian genetics or pre-Mendelian phase, then Mendelian phase and post-Mendelian phase. Here we are interested to know about the Mendelian phase of genetics because it was Mendel who proposed some basic heredity principles and laws which ultimately led to the development of modern genetics. Okay, prior to Mendel, some workers they came up with some hypotheses and theories, but unfortunately, for one reason or the other, their theories got rejected. Okay, Mendel was the first person who used mathematics in his calculations, who used mathematical tools in his research, and ultimately, this led Mendel to the right conclusions. First of all, life of Mendel and the experiments he performed to arrive at the principles of heredity. Gregor John Mendel was an Austrian scientist who conducted hybridization experiments on pea plant, which is botanically named as Pisum steum, from 1856 to 1863. And on the basis of his findings, he arrived at a conclusion that the basic unit of inheritance is a factor. Okay, although he himself at that time did not know what is a factor. Okay, what is the nature of this factor, but nowadays we know that these factors are nothing but genes, and gene is a fragment of DNA. He published his results in 1866 and his paper was entitled as Experiments on Plant Hybridization. And based on the results, he proposed some principles of heredity or laws of heredity, and these laws and principles of heredity they ultimately paved a way for the development of modern genetics, and that is why Mendel is regarded as father of genetics. Okay, he is regarded as father of genetics. But unfortunately, Mendel remained unappreciated until 1900 when his work was rediscovered independently by three workers, Hugo de Varius, Erich von Schmock, and Karl Correns. Now, the Mendel's experimental plant, it was the garden pea or Pisum steum. The garden pea, which Mendel used in his experiments, it possessed some seven contrasting characters which can be easily differentiated. Okay, and these seven contrasting characters which Mendel used in his experiments are in the table. The first one is the form of seed, I mean the appearance of seed. Some plants produced round seeds, some produced green wrinkled seeds. Some were having yellow cotyledons, some possessed green cotyledons. In some plants, flowers were white, while in others they were violet. Uh, the pods of some plants were full, and in others they were constricted. Okay. The color of pods in some plants was green, while in others it was yellow. The position of pods in some plants was axillary. Axillary means in the axils of leaves, and in others it was terminal. That means the pods arose at the endpoints of stems. And finally, the size of plants. Some plants were tall, and others were short or dwarf. Okay. Then, why was Mendel successful in his hybridization experiments? Basically, the success of Mendel, why he arrived at the right conclusions, okay, it is attributed to a number of factors, and the first one is choice of experimental subject or choice of experimental plant, I mean garden pea. Okay, Mendel was lucky that he selected the garden pea as his experimental plant for a number of reasons. The first one is garden pea is easy to cultivate. Okay, it grows relatively rapidly, which allowed Mendel to interpret the results of a cross in a single year. Third is garden pea produces many offsprings or seeds, and this allowed Mendel to better interpret his results. Okay, if you are having a large progeny, if you are having a large number of offsprings, this allows you to better interpret your results and get at the right conclusions. And there were several varieties of pea which were available to Mendel, and these were all genetically pure or true breeding. Genetically pure means they were either homozygous recessive or they were homozygous dominants. Okay, and finally the pea plant is a self-fertilizer or self-pollinating plant, which means the pollen from the same plant can cause pollination and effective fertilization. Okay, this feature of pea plant allowed Mendel to either opt for cross pollination or sometimes self pollination. Okay, the second factor that led Mendel to success was choice of characters. Okay, Mendel selected those characters which existed in two easily differentiated forms. Okay, जो हमने 7 pairs of contrasting characters अभी डिस्कस किए वही मेंडल ने सिलेक्ट किए एंड ऑल दीज कैरेक्टर्स दे वर हैविंग टू डिस्टिंक्ट फॉर्म्स फॉर एग्जांपल राउंड सीड शेप एंड रिंकलड. ओके, इसी तरह white flower and violet flower. Okay, Mendel avoided those characters which possessed a range of forms. ठीक है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल एक कैरेक्टर है उसके 8-10 कैरेक्टर स्टेट्स है. अगर मेंडल ने ये कैरेक्टर्स यूज किए होते तो उसके जो रिजल्ट्स होते they would have been much more complex and confounded. Okay, and finally Mendel adopted experimental approach. He experimented on pea plant and on top of that he applied mathematical calculations and properly maintained his records. Okay, these all three factors are believed to have led Mendel to success. Okay, this is all about today. Very soon inshallah I will meet you with another lesson on genetics. Till then, stay blessed.